Welcome back to Refined Wellness. My name is Megan Taylor. I'm a functional medicine practitioner, and I help you simplify healing by getting to the root of your symptoms and your God-designed body. In this video, we are going to be discussing a puzzle piece to dealing with long-haul COVID symptoms, histamine intolerance. Histamine is an inflammatory mediator involved in many key functions in your God-designed body. It is healing, it is God-given, and when it is working appropriately, it helps your body to fight off infection. However, as we've learned in our series, too much of anything can be a bad thing. And many people today are struggling with too much histamine. In addition, things like COVID infection have been proven to increase your histamines in your body. This can lead to chronic symptoms. And this is often missed because many providers will associate histamine with only skin issues or allergies. However, there is so much more when it comes to dealing with histamine. When histamine intolerance is present, it leads to an impaired ability to metabolize ingested histamine. This leads to a buildup of histamine in your body, and it can trigger many symptoms such as anxiety, insomnia, IBS, headache, brain fog, chemical sensitivities, especially when it comes to walking into a room and being highly sensitive to smells, food intolerances, hives, body weight fluctuations, alcohol intolerance, mast cell activation issues, low blood pressure, and so much more. So what can cause histamine overload? Let's take a look at one example of many. Chronic stress. I know I talk about this a lot, but chronic stress really impairs your body's ability to deal with things like histamine because you are running on stress hormones like cortisol. Cortisol and adrenaline have an impact on your gut, specifically decreasing stomach acid and harming your gut lining. This leads to your body having a hard time absorbing essential nutrients for breaking down histamine in your body. So if you add a recent illness on like COVID into a body that is already chronically stressed and dealing with low stomach acid and dealing with low mineral absorption, and COVID is increasing your histamines, you can see how that can lead to a high amount of histamine overload in the body, which can trigger chronic symptoms. Histamine intolerance is also linked to low levels of Diamine oxidase, also known as DAO. Women who struggle with estrogen dominance especially, and who are put on things like oral contraceptives, tend to have lower levels of DAO, which makes it even more hard for them to break down histamine in their body. The reason for this is because oral contraceptives deplete your body of essential minerals like vitamin B6. Vitamin B6 is essential for cultivating healthy levels of DAO. So lack of DAO results in histamines not being properly broken down and absorbed within the GI tract. This leads to worsening symptoms in an already stressed out and chronically depleted human body. So now you have added on chronic stress, a virus, someone who is dealing with issues with nutrient absorption. So you can see how recovering from an illness like COVID that increases histamines in the body that is already dealing with issues of detoxing and breaking down histamine, you can see how that would lead to chronic symptoms. So what happens is women end up with a lack of nutrients that is essential for a process in the body called methylation, and this is never addressed. And so poor methylation leads to a continuously poor ability to detox and break down histamine. Going further, the liver becomes congested, and because it's lacking those nutrients like vitamin B6 and other nutrients to break down histamine continues to rise, and it leads to chronic symptoms. Those chronic symptoms end up being severe enough that they are given medication for. And a lot of medication will lead to liver congestion, which ends up keeping the body in a chronic state of inflammation and dealing with chronic symptoms, and people suffer for years. The root cause is missed, and medications are given as band-aids. Just a quick note, alcohol is not your friend. There are many reasons for this, but when it comes to histamine intolerance, many people today are self-soothing and medicating things like anxiety and depression and stress with alcohol, especially wine at night, to decompress. But what that is doing is contributing to histamine overload in your body. It's adding fuel to the fire. And the reason for this is because alcohol impairs synthesis of DAO, which we briefly talked about earlier, and its role in breaking down histamine. The breaking down of alcohol and the breaking down of histamine, where that happens in your body, they compete with each other. And so beer, wine, and cider are all things that contribute to histamine intolerance, but alcohol in general is really hard on your liver. So the takeaway from this video is a reminder that your body is interconnected. Don't forget about puzzle pieces like histamine. If you want to learn tangible tips to support your body through things like histamine overload, if you want to be equipped with information and evidence-based articles to support information like this, there's a link in the comment section of this video where you can join our Refined Wellness membership. I hope you found value in this video, and I will see you next time. Bye.